Women struggled to find a place in the Chicano movement, yet where they had, they were often impactful in their local community. Here are some female contributors who played important roles in the Chicano movement in their respective way. In art, artists like Rina Cervantes were pioneers leading women into the Chicano art landscape, producing murals and other forms of art that tell the Chicano story from a female perspective. Even today, she teaches at Cal State Northridge, showing generation after generation of Latino women that they belong in an art scheme and continuing involvement to form a coherent Chicano culture for men and women.
Hi everybody, you've just watched me create my artwork Fall. Maybe now you could create something or share a story about a time when you've taken a risk and trusted that it would turn out okay.
In politics, Chicano movement were often behind the scenes, but sometimes they weren't. Here's Rachel Servino and Shirley Trevino. They were some of the fiercest protesters in the front line of police patrols, city hall marches, and school boards. They protested everywhere, and they saw social injustice, and they brought their message loud and clear to the authorities that they would never stop. Indeed, they still haven't stopped.
We patrol the police on the Fridays and Saturdays.
You patrol the police?
Yes, we patrol the police. Rachel was part of it, Ernestina Garcia, Fran Escalante.
Years later, and is there still social injustice happening?
Very, very much.
So they still sit on community boards, continuing the mission they pioneered so many decades ago to ensure justice for all.
Economically, women were often involved in labor organization as well. Though often not as recognized, they played a significant role in the organization of protesters, as well as dialogue with authorities.
And scanning to see all of the times that it talked about the labor movement, and it seems there's very little mention of anybody who's not a white or a white immigrant in these big labor history moments. And so a lot of times Latina and Latino activists are left out of this.
Here's Emma Brooks, facing exile and continuously fighting for labor rights and men and women during her career. They are often buried in the narratives in history books, but to their descendants and to those who have found jobs with livable pay, they would have made a permanent impact.
Moreno's work spans several states, but a young Mexican-American woman named Emma Tenayuca made history right in her hometown.
I wanted to tell you a story because you're with Time. One of the things we came across was this little article in Time. The interviewer asked her some question like, she was kind of a newlywed, and they said, you know, how is it working in your household? You know, you're going out doing all these organizing. Well, her husband, Homer Brooks, he was an organizer too. And so she answers pertly, I love my husband and I'm a good cook. I knew that there was a family secret about my Aunt Emma. The way that I found out was to read it in the newspaper. And I saw this picture of a 21-year-old standing on the steps of City Hall with her fist in the air. And it described her as Emma Tenayuca Brooks, the charismatic leader of a movement